Hey guys, Philip Liebel here with Primitive Wilderness Survival, and today I want to discuss what we can do if we find ourselves either lost in the woods or in a survival situation. So hang tight and we'll get into it. Okay, so somehow by some miscalculation or some crazy mistake that we've made, we have found ourselves out here in the wilderness. We're lost, possibly injured. We don't know where we're at, and we don't know where to go from here. So the very first thing we need to do is stop. Okay, and STOP is an acronym, S-T-O-P, and the very first letter of STOP is literally to stop. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is stop. We're going to sit here, we're going to calm down, we're going to quit running around, making bad decisions. Just stop and sit here for a minute. Okay, the next letter is going to be T. Okay, and T is for think. So we've stopped, we're sitting down, we've caught our breath, we've relaxed, and now we're going to think for a minute. We're going to think about what we did to get here. We're going to kind of let the weight of the situation take hold, and we're just going to catch our breath and think about what is going on in this moment. Okay, so the next letter is going to be O, and O is for observe. So now that we've sat here, we've calmed down, we've stopped, we've thought about how we got here. Now we're going to observe. We're going to observe where we're at, the landscape, the plants. We want to observe where the sun is, see if we can recall where the sun was when we were coming in, if it was on one side or the other. We want to observe if we have any sounds, like I have running water over here, if there's any wildlife. We just want to take everything in, get our bearings and figure out exactly what's going on around us and what we can use around us to get a better idea of our situation. Okay, so at this step, if I'm sitting here up against some trees and I've stopped and I've thought, I'm observing now, I might want to find an area directly around me that is the highest point in that area. Okay, so get a better vantage point. So to my right over here, we have some higher ground. It's probably 12 feet higher than where I'm at right now. And that would be a good point for me to kind of take in more of the surroundings. Okay, so we'll go up there in just a second and kind of cover that step. But after we have observed, the next step is going to be plan. Okay, so after we have calmed down, taken in our surroundings, observed everything, got an idea of our situation, how we got here, now it's time to figure out kind of how we can get out of the situation. If it's better to self-rescue, if it's better to sit and wait and try to put out some signals and try to have somebody find us. And that's going to depend on if we have injuries, if we what resources we have. There's a ton of different variables, but that's why it's important to slow down and stop, observe, and plan. Because one thing that a lot of people do is when they get in a situation that they haven't prepared for is to kind of panic. And it's crazy, but a lot of people actually just take off running in some general direction that they think they know where they're going, and they'll end up using a lot of energy, possibly opening up the opportunity to injure themselves, just because they panic and they don't take these steps to kind of gather their senses. So it's important not to panic. It's important not to take off running through the woods, because 4 hours later you might come back onto the tracks from where you started. So take the time to really figure out what's going on and how you can better your situation. Okay, so let's head up to this higher vantage point and we'll discuss some stuff that we might want to observe and kind of figure out how we can get out of this situation. Okay, so down there was the area that I was in. I'm already a good 4 feet higher and I have a much better vantage point. But if I continue going up, you can see over here I have a nice little hill to my left where I can get an even better vantage point. So we're gonna get up on that higher ground and see what we have going on around us. Okay, so we're on higher ground here. We have a much better vantage point. Unfortunately, with this higher ground also comes the wind, so hopefully you guys can hear me. But from here I can see, one, that I have an even higher vantage point back behind me here. And from there I could see everything in this area if I needed to. But just from this point, which is probably a good 12 to 15 feet higher than where we were to begin with, I can see all of these willow trees and some cottonwoods growing back here. So that's a good friction fire material, a good resource. And if I couldn't see the water here, I would know that we have water nearby, because those are good water indicators as well. But from here I can tell much more. I can observe much more of the landscape, observe the resources, and really get a better idea of what this landscape holds and what I can do to either stay out here for longer periods of time or to get myself out of here. I could find that higher ground and continue finding other landmarks from that point to try to get out of here. So that's just kind of the beginning of, if we did find ourselves out here, how we could start working towards bettering our situation. So stop, think, observe, and plan. So now that we have observed the area around us, we've kind of read the landscape, we know what resources we have available, and we have a little better understanding of what we have here to help us in our next step, which is planning what to do next, whether that be self-rescue or to survive in this location until we're able to be rescued. And there's a lot of variables that go into that, but it kind of segues into our next video, which is going to be the priorities of survival. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this video and you have a little better understanding of how to maintain your composure and take in all of the inputs around you in a situation. I know it can be stressful and it can be a lot to take in, and that's why it's important to really focus on this step, calm down, compose yourself, and then you can start making a plan. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you don't have to use this, but you'll be able to if you need to. And watch our next video, which is going to be the priorities of survival and the rule of threes, kind of figuring out what our next step is and what we need to take care of to either get rescued or to rescue ourselves. So thanks for watching.